Hey guys, Sean here. So today I want to talk about the Omen nerf. Riot dropped a bomb on all of us Omen mains out here with this latest update. I was devastated because, as you can see from the tweet on your screen, George basically describes Omen has been nerfed in the latest Valorant patch. Dark cover placed inside walls will now fall to the height of nearby ground. One-way smokes are a part of Valorant, but they are difficult to play against, and we want to keep them limited to intentional. No more one-ways. When I first read this, I was like, well, this is brutal because right now in pro play, Omen is really only played on Haven, Ascent, and a little bit of Fracture. 100 Thieves dabbled with it, running a solo Omen at the last Red Bull Homeground event. And other than that, we're not really seeing much Omen. He used to be played quite a bit on Split though, so that's coming back into the pool. I am here today to tell you, I don't think it's as bad as it seems. Let's hop into game right now. I'm going to show you the maps that Omen is played on and how these changes might affect him. What has changed here truly? What does it mean for your playstyle when you play Omen? So the first one I want to talk about is sometimes in the pro scene, I mean, Bang is someone that actually really likes this smoke, is you would just stick it into the wall right here. And before you would see this red arrow and you would just throw it anyway. It didn't matter. Now you need the green arrow. So you just have to line it up a little bit differently. So you can still one way back there, but again, like you need to understand the right spots for these one ways. Otherwise, it's not going to work anymore. Above garage, this smoke is possible now. So you can still one way above garage. This is something I am mega guilty of playing Omen, is I would one way spawn on every single C take that my team would do, because it makes rotating out of spawn so difficult for defenders on C takes. You can still do it, but you can't just stick it into the wall. You have to understand that you need to get it on that little lip right there. You can still one way in garage, which is great because this one way it shuts down any garage hits and is great for like a weak side player like Omen. Omen typically is on the weak side. He's a smoke agent. You can't just stick them into the walls anymore. You have to see the green arrow before you go to line it up. Honestly, I was running around the maps, guys, and I didn't see many smokes that I lost. All of the one-way smokes that I used to throw are still possible. They still work. You just have to line them up a little bit better. You have to understand where you should be aiming. I'm still capable of doing all of the things that I used to do on Omen. These smokes aren't going to fall to the floor. They're going to sit up there. They're going to be one ways, and all is good. All of this stuff is mega viable. Literally every smoke that I currently use on Omen. I play a lot of Omen. Surely some quirky ones you can no longer do, like ones that you just stick into walls places, but the popular ones are all still available to you. Now going into Ascent, the other map that I love playing Omen on. For those of you that watch me on stream, like this is my insta-lock. I love playing Omen on Ascent. There's so many cool things you can do with his smokes and so much control you feel like you have across the map. This one is a little bit more tricky than Haven. Not because he's lost any smokes, but just because there's going to be like new ways you have to find lineups. Right off the bat, let's see. So coming into Cat, everyone always one-ways Cat. And before you could just stick it into this wall, which created a super oppressive one way. It was very hard to come through this smoke. Now you have to aim on the light post. Just aim on the lamp and you can still create this same one way. It's just not as powerful, right? Now you could live in a world where, you know, an attacker jumps across, can kind of like clear out their left ahead of time, you know, maybe even like take fights over here. It's just a little bit less strong, but it's still incredibly strong. No one's going to want to come through it into the tree area. And still obviously one way on top of the ledge there. You can still one way the door for post plants in the A site or to hold pushes coming through the door. I'm never a fan of this one way, but it still exists, right? So you can still one way that. You used to be able to throw an attacker side one way here. This is something that Fnatic used to do, but that's actually too high. So I guess this is a smoke that is lost. They one way this wall as Omen and they would knife a main like by Wine on top of the wall, like an unbreakable knife, and they would just be able to like take a main for free because you would just stick a one way here. So no one can really challenge you at the start of the round, and the knife would let you know if they slip into Wine. That is no longer possible. So that is one smoke that I found that I think Omen has lost. This one's still possible if you want to throw this and play deep. Even my favorite one way is still possible. This is the one smoke I thought I would lose because I would just stick it into the wall because it would be lower. You can actually still do this smoke on the lip right here. Another incredibly powerful smoke because you can be holding it from an off angle out here and then TP out as Omen, or you can do some of the things that I like doing. You're holding it. A lot of times you'll get like prowlered out, you'll get darted, and that's when you just like counterplay with a blind and you can push in. All of this stuff is still possible. I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm like trying to grasp at a dead agent, but none of his smokes seem like they are super effective right now. You just have to understand that you can't just put them into the walls. Despite being an Omen player, I am a fan of this update because it raises the skill ceiling of the game. It makes Omen players have to know where to aim. It makes them have to know timings on these things because it's going to be a little bit harder to do it quickly. But as you can see, all of these smokes are available to you. Now, going into the maps where I think Omen might be a little bit hurt. One of the biggest losses to these one-way smokes is on Fracture. 100 Thieves found something kind of special. They found that you could play a solo Omen on Fracture when they won Red Bull Homeground. Bang did such a good job of controlling the map with his utility, using his paranoia very well throughout those games. But a key thing that Omen is capable of doing is one-waying A main. This is a super important one-way when you play Omen. You're essentially making it where this initial fault line that comes through, if they actually use that and they go here, you counter fault lined, or you counter prowled through the door, or if your Omen's here, you blind. If someone disrespects this one way, you can just take it back. And it made Omen very powerful at A main. But as you can see, this is a red arrow. I have tested out all of these. It's just not that solid. Like, it's definitely not great. It's not the worst. It's not nearly as good as it used to be. I'll say that. I would never throw this as my early round smoke. So this is really gonna hurt Omen, but all of his other smokes on the map are still possible, right? Like, I can still do one ways into all of these areas. You can still smoke obviously top site so it bleeds down. It's not like gonna fall through the site. All of this stuff is still possible, but that A main one is super important. Split is the fourth map that I think you could potentially use Omen on in the pool right now. Split is a map I love Omen on. It's a map that Bone Cold with Ascent made prevalent, right? Because before Ascent won that Champions, we saw a lot of Astro. But he taught us, like, you can one-way almost everything on this map. It caused a lot of nerfs to come in on Omen at the time. Like, his smoke travel time got nerfed. His time to regen, I believe, got raised a little bit. Let's take a look at some of the things that are possible and if he's even viable. Off the bat, I'll show you, you can do the one in heaven here. You can even do the one in heaven here, maybe for like a post. You can still one-way that. A key one-way that was lost, however, is the one that sticks to this wall. This was also one that was pretty prevalent. Is something that Bone Cold used a lot of, except he would just be able to stick it into the wall in the past. Now you actually have to like find the little nook there, stick it, and it still works. So you can still one-way that if you wanted to. Now you can still one-way things like this. You can one-way this. You can put a smoke here. All of these smokes are still possible. I don't know if it's possible, actually. I didn't test this. I don't know. Some of these smokes just fall despite having green arrows. This is possible for like a post plant. A lot of times you would see plants there and smokes above it. You can defend it from garage. This smoke was falling. Yeah, these smokes were falling when I tested them. A lot of the things with Omen on Split, actually the nerf does affect him. As you can see by the A main one way, we saw it just now in B main. Those are key chokes of the map. This is the third one. I don't know why this smoke doesn't stay. Everything I would think about what I've seen on these smokes so far would tell me that this smoke would stay. I'm not sure if this is like some kind of error and it should be going up here, or if it actually shouldn't just be up here. Like, it's just gonna fall every time forever. Weird. So that is the first one I've gotten to stay up there. So this was actually a very key smoke, because what you would do is you would one-way this and you would either TP across or fake TP. And if anyone disrespects your one-way smoke, you can blind them. The race can nade off this wall. The breach can fault line through this wall. And it just created a very easy way to hold B. Still tons of possibilities with the Omen one-ways. I'm not going to lie. It's just, I think he has taken a bit of a hit here on Split. When I was watching Game Changers, they were just sticking smokes in this wall. which was insanely oppressive. You obviously can't do that anymore, but I'd imagine you could probably stick a smoke there, which then limits the other team to go this way, right? Which is also very powerful. Before, you could basically send out a smoke that clouded really, really far out into long B. You can no longer do that. Obviously, all these smokes are still going to work. You know, you can still stick smokes on like any of these little lips like this if you want to do that. I mean, you can still do weird things like something I used to do. You can like one way under the tube, and then you can also like play on top like with your smoke. It should be kind of cringe. There's still definitely ideas for you to play with as Omen. I mean, say you were taking the site, you can still one way here to stop people from peeking back site. There's still plenty of options as Omen. I think the way that those tweets were worded were a little bit extreme. Like, it caused people to react in a way where they thought they lost the ability to put a smoke on anything without it falling through the floor. And that's not indeed the case. So just wanted to make this video clarifying things, let you guys know that Omen isn't dead. He isn't nerfed into the ground. I overreacted a bit too, so no worries, no worries. We're still eating out here as Omen. All right, peace out, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe. More content coming. Bye-bye.